to episode 2 of Gluten Freeway. I'm your host, Lauren Marts, and this is my guest, Meredith Dykstra.
Hello.
She is a great friend, originally of my husband, Nick Marts, and now a good friend of mine, and I consider her the health queen.
Oh, thanks, girl.
And so we're going to just chat a little bit as we drive around on this beautiful day. So,
Which is a beautiful day in Pittsburgh in February. We have to say that. So this is
Absolutely.
not normal, but
No.
we're loving it.
we are loving it. So, Meredith, let's start by you telling us a little bit about your eating style, maybe what you call it. I know gluten-free is part of it, but maybe just talk a little bit about how gluten-free has worked into your eating style.
Sure. Yeah. So, and I'm not crazy about the labels as far as saying that I'm, paleo or gluten-free. I mean, I'm definitely gluten-free, and I have been for years. But I like to kind of just think of myself as eating natural, real foods, kind of from more of a primal type perspective. So I try to rotate a lot of different vegetables, and I love, clean proteins and lots of healthy, good fats. So those are just foods that I gravitate towards, and they make me feel really good, make my brain work well, and give me amazing energy throughout the day. So that's just kind of what I do. And I'm not crazy about a label, but I'm definitely gluten-free, mostly avoid soy, especially if it's, any risk of being genetically modified. And typically avoid corn as well because of the GMO issue and genetic modification of corn. So and then that's kind of where the gluten-free kind of label and shift in my diet occurred as well, because of the GMO issue and the hybridization of wheat. And that's kind of when I learned about GMOs and the damage that they can create to our bodies via kind of damaging our intestinal lining years ago when I was working at a natural healing center up in Massachusetts. Then I kind of tried to go GMO free as much as possible, and that included me eliminating corn and soy and gluten. So that was kind of the catalyst when I learned about GMOs, and that's been at least 3 or 4 years ago now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would love at another time to have you dive into all of the little nuances that are involved in your eating style, because I know that there's so much more than just gluten-free like you mentioned. My next question was going to be, how did you come to start eating this way, and how long has it been? So you said, how many years?
Yeah, so gluten-free, it's been probably 3 or 4 years or so, but my foray into natural health and healing foods started in 2010 after I left New Orleans, where I'd been living for a good while, and just kind of depleted my health in a lot of ways. So wanted to get back on track and moved up to Massachusetts at that point and worked at a natural healing center, which is when I learned all about the amazing healing foods that exist and how that food can be an amazing tool to heal our bodies and heal our digestive system. So I kind of started to implement it then. So it's been, 6 or 7 years that I've been on this journey and continue to learn and grow within it every day and experiment. And it's for the rest of, my life. It's long term. This isn't a short term diet where, many people maybe think that they would just go gluten free for a little while to lose weight or kind of cut out other major food groups just for a short period of time to get results. But for me, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. And I haven't spoken much about this on my blogs, but some place I want to move with Baked True North is developing a line of healthy healing baked goods. And you have actually inspired me in so many ways to start doing that, because I do think that our food is so much more than just something we eat. But it's, to be cliche, you are what you eat, but it's so much more than just food.
Very much so. And with a lot of gluten-free foods too, I think people can think, oh, well, this is, it's a gluten-free, cookie or gluten-free bread or gluten-free cereal, so I can just eat as much of it as I want. Yeah. And that's definitely not the case either, because those, foods, even though they're gluten-free, they can still, spike our blood sugar, which can create, a lot of inflammation at the cellular level. And a lot of gluten-free foods include ingredients that are inflammatory and questionable to our health as well. So the idea of you creating not only cookies that are gluten-free, but also include a lot of healing ingredients is really exciting.
Yeah, thank you. So tell me, a little bit about what you noticed as far as how gluten made you feel specifically. Because I've talked to a ton of people, and they all experience something a little bit different when they've had gluten, and it's been a negative experience.
Yes, and I definitely felt better after removing gluten from my diet, and I've definitely had autoimmune challenges over the years, which are very much connected to the gut, which is so foundational to our health, is our gut health. So when we take out foods like gluten and other foods that are irritating our gut lining and creating inflammation in our system, then it can help to kind of decrease inflammation all over our body and make us feel better and help our brains work better. A lot of people, when they remove gluten from their diet, I know, have less brain fog and can think better, because as we know, our gut and brain are very intimately connected, and as is our immune system. 70-80% of our immune system lies in the gut. So once we can kind of get our gut in better shape and positively impact our microbiome, then we start to feel those positive effects and outcomes all over our body and start to get better results. So I definitely felt better taking gluten out. I took it a step further and took pretty much all grains out. Now I do have some grains here and there. For example, I had some jasmine rice a few days ago, and that was really delicious. But in general, I feel better not consuming any grains at all for the most part.
More like a paleo-esque.
Paleo-esque.
Taking that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Not overboard with the protein, like in some paleo diets can kind of recommend.
True.
But yeah, I do tend to feel better without grains, and I just don't really think about them as much either as being a part of my diet. So yeah.
Okay.
Better energy and leaner too. I noticed too, because for years when I was on kind of more of a macrobiotic diet, honestly, I did that strictly for about 3 years, and I was eating grains 3 times a day, including glutinous grains, and that would be a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast and brown rice for lunch and millet for dinner, like bam bam bam, lots of grains, and constantly spiking my blood sugar, not realizing that was creating inflammation for me, and just kind of a layer of fat that was over my body too, because of just all of those carbohydrates. And some people do better with carbohydrates than others, and of course there are healthy carbs and not healthy carbs, and that's a big conversation. But I noticed I definitely got leaner when I really cut out the grains.
Okay, that's really great information. I am curious, is there any food that you specifically miss? I know there's a lot of great alternatives to things out there. Obviously I make gluten-free cookies. I think they're pretty good. But is there something you miss?
Well, I've thought about this. I've had many conversations about this as well, and of kind of a death row meal. And I mean bread, of course. Bread is
baguette or
amazing. I'm thinking, yes, a crusty baguette spread with lots of funky blue cheese. And I remember when I had lived in France, that was my favorite meal. I did a semester in France in college, and I would literally go and buy a baguette every day for lunch and just eat that bread, and it was so good. And when you slather it with some funky blue cheese or your favorite cheese, it's just a little bit of heaven, a little slice of heaven, literally.
You're gonna have to go find something.
Yeah, I haven't found a bread that's really just excited me since, but I haven't delved a lot either, because I feel okay without it. I do make a fun flatbread pizza that I made last night, and I made that for you when you came over for dinner. And there are things that satisfy and substitute to a degree, but there's nothing like that crusty French baguette. So that for sure.
And I will have to say, this is a little sneak peek, but I'm doing a blog soon about some bread experimentation I've done. And I have recently done a crock-pot bread, which was really
crock-pot bread.
Good. We'll talk more after I
all right.
Vlogs.
You guys have been piqued your interest.
Yeah,
all right,
it's pretty
stay
good.
tuned for that.
All right,
amazing.
For our last question, just so we don't take too long, I just want to ask you, if you were talking to someone that was considering going gluten-free, what is some advice that you would give them for whether they were going gluten-free to support someone else or for health reasons? What would be some advice you'd give them as they get started?
I think keeping it simple is really important with foods in general, and this is what I tell my coaching clients, is that when you're starting and you're shifting on your journey, to not be overly concerned with being perfect in the very beginning,
good.
but just focusing on what you can really bring in more so than even just like things you're removing. So I'm saying eating more healthy fats, I found to be incredibly helpful for me, because when we're eating a lot of healthy fats in our diet, then we have a lot more satisfaction. So our cravings decrease, and we're not wanting to eat as much because we're more satisfied.
Yeah.
So I think lots of healthy fats, bringing those in, lots of like good olive oil and avocados, and I use avocado oil for cooking too, and coconut oil and coconut products are great, and some soaked and sprouted nuts and seeds, and gosh, there's so many good fats out there. So bringing in more healthy fats, a variety of different vegetables, and really incorporating some different fermented foods as well, some sauerkraut and kimchi, maybe a little bit of kombucha, because as we know, when we're having a good amount of fermented foods in our diet, they really help to support the health of our gut, our microbiome, and that can also decrease cravings as well. So when we have a healthy gut, sometimes we can actually crave sweets and carbohydrates less, because those kind of fermented foods can satisfy us in a unique way. So I'd say focus on healthy fats, a variety of vegetables, some clean proteins, and just education, learning about the gluten and kind of the damage it can cause to our bodies because it's been denatured today. So I think just starting there.
That is great advice. And if you're looking for more information on gluten education, stay tuned on my blog. Also, Meredith, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so I put all my recipes at coachmeredith.blogspot.com. You can check those out.
I have to attest.
Thank you.
Especially her chicken, kale, sweet potato soup. Awesome. Check it out.
Oh, that is a yummy one. So yeah, find me on social media, and I'll be excited to connect with you guys.
All right. Thank you so much for chatting, Meredith, and thanks to all of our listeners. And as we always say, have a cookie.
Bye.